Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to have you here this evening. Welcome back to Public Service HR Mentorship Series. Please confirm you can hear me, please. Confirm in the chat box that you can hear me.
Yes, we can
Loud
hear
and
you, sir.
clear, doctor. We can
Okay,
hear you,
thank
doctor.
you. Thank you. All right. So it's my pleasure to have all of us back on the mentorship series this evening. This is the first leg in the month of September. So happy and uh, elated to have us back here where we do learning, where we don't stop learning, where we come together to learn and ensure that the public service is getting better. Okay, so we want to just let us know that we do shape HR here and then we elevate the public service. And then don't forget that when we talk about shaping HR, we are actually developing HR professionals who are knowledgeable, strategic, and impactful in their roles. And that is what we want to do here. And that is what we have known this platform to be for. So, and once HR is shaped, definitely we are going to elevate the public service. And then we will have a well-structured and efficient service, public service, which invariably will improve our service delivery in the Lagos State public service. It's my pleasure to have us this evening. So we will not waste time at all today. We want to go straight to having our class, and then we will do our introduction of our facilitator today, and then we carry on from then. Can we all hear me, please? So let me
Yes, doctor, we can hear you.
Okay, so let me just introduce our facilitator, please. Our facilitator today is Mr. Jamiu Ajibola Abari. Mr. Jamiu Ajibola Abari began his educational journey at Ireti Primary School, Mokewe Road, Ikoyi, and continued to Akonde Dawunsi Memorial High School, Osborne Road, Ikoyi. He later attended the Lagos State School of Basic Studies, Ajele, Lagos Island. He earned a degree in banking and finance from Ondo State University, Ado Ekiti, now Ekiti State University, and further obtained a master's degree in public and international affairs from the University of Lagos. Mr. Abari's professional career started at Arbitrage Consulting, a private consultancy and training firm specializing in stockbroking research and analysis, where he worked as a research assistant. In September 1999, Mr. Abari joined the Lagos State Civil Service as an administrative officer, grade level 8. Since then, he has served across various ministries, departments, and agencies of the Lagos State government. He currently serves as a deputy director in the Service Matters Department, Public Service Office of the Head of Service. Remarkably, within just 8 months of joining the state service, Mr. Abari was recognized as the best officer senior category in the Ministry of Finance under the leadership of Commissioner Mr. Olawale Edun and Permanent Secretary Mr. Yakub Balogun. He was also the pioneer head of administration at Lagos State Microfinance Institution, during which Senator Wasiu Eshinlokun Sani served as the board secretary. A committed professional, Mr. Abari is a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management and a full member of the Association of Human Resources Practitioners of Nigeria. His pursuit of excellence has taken him to both national and international trainings, including Innovation in Public Service, which took place in London, National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Leadership Course, Kuru, just here in Nigeria. Workshop on effective coaching skills for leaders in Abuja. In addition, he facilitated at the 2023 and 2024 revised structured training program, the RSTP promotion exercise, and has served as rapporteur and secretariat at several high-profile state functions. Beyond his professional commitment, Mr. Abari is an active and sociable personality. He's a member of the Lagos State Public Service Club, Eco Club, and the Men International. He's a devoted Muslim. He is happily married and blessed with 2 sons and a daughter. Please join me as I yield the floor join me to welcome Mr. Abari as I yield the floor for Olaitan. Mr. Abari, you are welcome. Olaitan, please take over. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
So, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Doctor, for this amazing profile that you have just read to us. Good evening, Mr. Abari. It's nice to have you here, sir.
Yeah, Olaitan, how are you doing? Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Welcome, sir. Okay, so we're going to be diving into your session shortly. I want to share your slides. Good evening, everyone at the Public Service HR Mentorship Program here again. Please, I just dropped the link to the attendance. Please kindly help us fill the attendance. It's very important to us. Okay, just give me some minutes. I'm about to share my slides. Okay. Can anybody see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, please, so that we know that we're together, please send in your emojis, and you can feel free to also drop your comments on the chat box. Mr. Abari is reading it. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Doctor, and everybody on the call. I hope we've had a splendid weekend. This is another series in our mentorship program, which is aimed at improving ourselves individually and collectively. So, as the topic given to me this evening to discuss, we have career mobility in the state public service, understanding transfer, secondment, and advancement. Basically, these are movement in service. We still have one other movement apart from these 3. We have conversion, we have promotion, which are still part of mobility in the state public service. But for this evening, we'll be looking at transfer, secondment, and advancement. Olaitan, please give me the next slide, please. So we'll start with introduction. So basically, we are going to look at the 3 areas I have mentioned. We'll look at secondment, we'll look at transfer, and we'll look at advancement. Then we will do a conclusion, and thereafter we'll go to questions and answers. I think I have about 17 slides, and I'll be taking them one by one within the time frame. And I want to believe we'll enjoy this section. So secondment, as we all know, the key word here is that secondment is a temporary release. That's the key word. Basically, the watchword here is temporary, because it's a temporary release of an officer to a service of another government approved body. That should be an approved body or any recognized international organization for a specific period. That's why I said it is temporary. It is for a particular period, whereby an officer is released. Thereafter, he has three options after the secondment. It's either he choose to come back to his former MDA, or he can seek for extension, which will not be more than 1 year, or he can seek permanent transfer to that agency. So this can be seen in PSR 020501A. If we check our public service rule, that is exactly how it is stated in the public service rule. It is indeed a temporary movement of an officer from one government agency to another. Basically, like I said, the key word here is temporary. It is a former human resource management practice whereby an officer is temporarily released from ministry, department, and agency MDA to serve in another organization. Basically, that is what it is. It is temporary, and it is something that you have to get an approval for from the commission. So we say again that it's a non-permanent arrangement, still emphasizing the word temporary. It is non-permanent arrangement whereby the officer is expected to come back. Like I mentioned earlier, there are two conditions. There are two developments that can evolve. It is either the officer chooses to come back, or he chooses to seek an extension which is not more than 1 year, or the officer seeks a permanent release to that establishment. Next slide is light on. So we have the procedures and conditions. Like I said, secondment of an officer to the service of another government or approved body at its own instance is usually for 2 years. That is the provision of the public service rule. At the officer's instance, it is for 2 years. Thereafter, the officer can seek for 1 year extension, or he can choose to remain there. Like you can read from the slide, the secondment of an officer is to the service of another government or approved body at its own instance shall be for a period of 2 years in the first instance. Thereafter, the officer can now seek either for 1 year extension or return to his former post or seek for transfer. The officer must obtain the necessary approval of the State Civil Service Commission or any other such body. So, like I said, it is not something that you will just write and say you want to seek for secondment. It has to go through the normal procedure from the officer's parent ministry to the commission, where approval will be obtained before the officer can be granted approval for such a secondment. Like I said, what we need to bear in mind is that if the secondment is at the instance of the officer, it is basically for 2 years. Thereafter, the officer can seek for an extension of 1 year or seek permanent transfer to the MDA. So we said the officer shall be entitled. No, let me take that last. Thank you very much. All right. So we said the officer can be entitled to notional increment. That is talking about promotion. Once you are on secondment, the officer is entitled to his notional increment when the time is due. But before then, there must be a rendition of annual report which will serve as the officer's SPADEV for the number of period the officers will be away. You know, for you to be qualified for promotion, you have to acquire the required number of SPADEV. For a level 8 officer, you know and we understand it should be 3 years. So for those periods where the officer is on secondment, the officer must earn the required SPADEV. So we say the officer shall be entitled to notional dates during the period of his secondment and may be granted notional promotion by the State Civil Service Commission or any of such body on is the secondment. That is when the officer comes back from the secondment, it will be granted its notional date. In order to, that's the basic reason now, in order to restore his seniority as a result of the promotion of his peers. So basically, why that is being done, so that the person can retain his seniority. So not as if those that they are doing their promotion at the same time will not be his senior. Once he is able to submit the required SPADEF, the officer will still have to sit for exam. It's not an automatic. It will end the normal SPADEF of 3 years. Regarding them as depending on the grade level the officer is. So the officer will sit for the exam when he or she returns. So if it is now, that another condition is that if it is at the instance of the states, the state can say, okay, maybe there are skills that are needed. For an example, let's say Lagos State Water Corporation needs, let's say, a computer engineer. So secondment at times is used for a skill gap. We'll get there when we'll be looking at the futures of secondment. This is part of what we will discuss. So we said, if it is at the public interest to second an officer to the service of another government or approved body, the period of secondment shall not be limited, and the officer shall continue to hold his substantive posts and be entitled to increment and promotion, and shall be treated as having been posted on special assignment. That is PSR 020501-4. So if it is at the instance of government, like we have two conditions now, at the instance of the officer and at the instance of the state. If it's at the instance of the state, it is limitless, does not have a time bound. Because why normally this is used to fill a skill gap, or where we identify that, okay, we need the skill of certain category of officer in certain government agency. Government can say, okay, let's second this person to that agency, and that has no time limit. It could be till the officer retires. But meanwhile, the notional date and the promotion goes normal as the time fall due for the officer to be promoted. So, like I said, we have that in PSR 020501-4. So during the please go to the last slide. There are some key words that I need to explain here. Yes. So during the period of such secondment, the benefiting organization shall be responsible for the officer's enumeration as is provided in PSR 020501-5. So once an officer is seconded, like for an example, let's say an officer is seconded from the mainstream civil service to, let's say, to Ibile Holdings or to Ibile Oil. So it is that agency that will be responsible for the emolument, that is the salary and other benefits of the officer once the commission has approved the secondment. Next slide, please. So we have the futures of secondment, or what we can refer to as distinctive attributes of secondment. Because like I said, we are looking at three aspects of mobility in the state public service: secondment, transfer, and advancement. They have their features. So, like I said, it is temporary in nature. I think that I've explained earlier. It is for a specific period of time. But like I said, if it's at the instance of the state, it is assumed to be on public policy, and that does not have a time limit. But generally, secondment is temporary. So the second feature is retention for employment status. You know, I mentioned it that the officer has the right to either come back or seek for 1 year extension or seek permanent transfer to the agency where the person is being seconded to. So if that person is seconded, he still retains his employment status. He's still a member of staff of Lagos State government as at the time of his secondment. So when he comes back, he retains his position. So that is another feature of secondment. Then the another feature is purpose driven. Secondment is undertaken to fill specific objective. Like I said earlier, assuming Lagos State Water Corporation a desire to have the skills of a computer engineer, an officer can be seconded to such agency. That's what we mean here by it is purpose driven. Then knowledge and skill exchange. It could be in form of an exchange. Let's consider an international organization. Let's say like maybe United Nations or any of such, or World Bank or any of such international organization could require there could be an arrangement between the state government and such organization where knowledge and skills are exchanged. By going to such organization, the civil servants stand the benefit of gaining from skills and knowledge within that organization. So it could even be between a private entity and the state government. And by so doing, there is knowledge and skill exchange between the two organizations. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits of secondment? Definitely, there are benefits to the individual, to the state, and to the organization where the officers is being seconded. So the first one here is we have professional developments. For an officer to have been seconded, that officer will be exposed to a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge. So that when the officer comes back to the mainstream or to wherever he or she has been deployed in ab initio, it brings out that officer is expected to bring back knowledge and skills which he might have acquired from the organization where that person has been seconded. Officers of secondment are exposed to new challenges, systems, and practices that enhance their skills, competencies, and leadership capability. So definitely, once an officer is on secondment, it is expected that skills will be acquired, the leadership quality will improve, and the likes. So we have institutional strengthening. That is another benefit of secondment. Every organization has its own traditions and its own benefit that one can acquire. For example, we said institutional strengthening, receiving institutional benefit from the technical expertise. Once a person is exposed to some expertise and knowledge within that organization where that person is seconded, definitely there is an improvement in that person's performance, and it is expected that the state at large will benefit, which may result in improved project delivery and service outcome. Another benefit of secondment is fostering collaboration between the two organizations where the officer is seconded and the state government. There are collaboration. It is essentially a collaborative effort. It encourages interagency and intersectorial partnership between the two entities, between the organization that is releasing the officer and where the officer is going to. So we have important consideration. These are areas that we need. Let's go to thank you. So these are areas that we need to pay particular attention to, because there are conditions and there are consideration, there are procedures that needs to be followed for you to actually have been seen to have done the right thing while seeking for secondment. Don't forget, we said secondment is temporary. It is temporary in the sense that the officer is released first at his own instance for 2 years. Thereafter, the officer can either seek 1 year extension, or the officer can seek permanent transfer to the organization where the officer is being seconded. So there must be an approval process. I mentioned earlier, the officer will write through the Federal Ministry, through the State Civil Service Commission, or any of such other commission for approval. There must be an approval from the appropriate commission for the officer to be seconded. Then we have remuneration. I think I've mentioned this earlier, but these are important consideration because once an officer is on secondment, the benefit, the salary, the welfare, the emolument is transferred to the benefiting organization. It is that organization that takes responsibility for the officer's salary, training, every other thing. It is in the purview of the benefiting officer. So the remuneration, the welfare are to be taken care of by the organization where the officer is being seconded. Then we have communication and reporting. I mentioned these two earlier, that for the officer, when an officer is on secondment to another MDA, the accounting officer of the MDA to which the officer is seconded is responsible for furnishing a report. That report serves as the officer annual evaluation for promotion purpose, because you cannot claim that you are on secondment and you are due for promotion. There won't be a report. There will be a report which now serves as the officer's pardon for the duration of the period when the officer was on secondment, so that the officer can maintain his notional date and can be at par with his colleagues, but the officer does not lose his seniority. So these are some of the basic important considerations that must be done. One, there must be an approval. The remuneration, please go back there. Thank you. So there must be an approval from the appropriate commission. The remuneration of the officer will be taken care of by the benefiting organization, and there must be a rendition of reports, annual report on the officer, so that the officer can maintain his notional date, and when the officer comes back, he can sit for his promotion. So these are all futures, important benefits, and what secondment is all about. We can recap by saying secondment, like I said, it is a temporary movement of an officer from one approved government establishment to another. And the officer has three options at the expiration of the initial 2 years. Don't forget, we said at the first instance, it is for 2 years if it is at the instance of the officer. The officer now have three options after the expiration of the first 2 years. Is that the officer can decide, okay, this place I've not gained anything, I think I want to go back to where I was seconded from. So the officer can decide to come back to the service or to the agency where he was seconded from, or he can decide to seek an extension of 1 year, or he can seek permanent release or permanent transfer to the benefiting organization. So this sums up what secondment is all about. So now we'll move to transfer. So transfer. So basically, transfer is more of a permanent release, while secondment is a temporary release. It is a permanent release of an officer from one scheduled service to another. Transfer can be used where possible as part of a recruitment process to fill the need of identified MDA. This can be found in PSR 020501B. Moreover, all such transfer must be approved by the appropriate commission. The commission, for example, let's say an officer that is employed by, say, the Teaching Service Commission, desire to transfer the service from the Teaching Service Commission to the Mainstream Commission. The officer has to write through the Teaching Service Commission to the Civil Service Commission. And there are two conditions. We'll get there as we move on. So basically, transfer is more of a permanent nature, while secondment is more of a temporary, is more temporary in nature. Next slide, right on. So we have type of secondment. Basically, we have intra-transfer and inter-transfer. This is just basic English. Intra, that is within. Within. Inter, that is outside. So, like I said, an officer that is transferring his service from one government agency, maybe from the mainstream civil service, to say SUBEB, will say that it is intra because it is still within the Lagos State government public service. Or for an officer that is transferring from, say, Judicial Service Commission to TESCOM, that is still intra-agency transfer or intra-service transfer. So it is still within the same government, Lagos State Civil Service Commission to Judicial Service Commission, or Lagos State Audit Service Commission to Lagos State Judicial Service Commission. These ones are intra-service transfer from one government agency, Lagos State government agency, to another government, Lagos State government agency. So this is referred to as intra-service transfer. Then we have what we call inter-service transfer. Like I said, it is English. Intra. Inter is outside the agency. That is, let's say somebody is seeking transfer from the Federal Civil Service to the Lagos State Civil Service, or from Lagos State Civil Service to Ogun State Civil Service, or from Lagos State Civil Service to Ekiti or to Ebonyi or to any other state within the federation. So that is intra-service transfer. This is the movement from one state civil service to another or to the Federal Civil Service. So it is intra. Like I said, in either type of transfer, there must be willingness to release and to absorb. This condition must be fulfilled. Once this condition is not fulfilled, then we cannot see the end of the process. You know, it's a process driven. This process has to be completed. The agency where that officer or the state or the government body where the officer is moving from must be willing to release the officer. And where the officer is going, the agency there must be willing to absorb that officer. So two basic conditions that must be fulfilled under transfer of service: willingness to release and willingness to absorb. And there must be vacancy provision in the personnel budget. Basically, what this is telling us is that once the personnel budget for a particular year is done, there might be difficulty in such transfer because the personnel emolument of that officer has not been captured, except the agency in charge of establishment can make alternative arrangements whereby such officer can be accommodated. But basically, the personnel budget for that particular year must have taken care of that transfer. There must have been provision for the officer transfer from where that person is coming from to where it will be absorbed. So the absorbing agency now should have provided in the personnel budget for that particular year that an officer is to be transferred. So let's go to the next slide. Eliton, can you hear me? Okay, yeah. So we have procedures and conditions. Just as we have under secondment, we have procedures and secondment as well under transfer. Like I said, transfer are of two in nature, intra and inter. I think we understand that, what we mean by inter and intra. So what are the procedures and what are the conditions? Number one, if an officer has to be confirmed, that is basic for you to be transferred, to seek transfer of service. An officer has to be confirmed in his previous service and his qualification, experience, and career progression are in accordance with the scheme of service of the grade level. There must be a sync in all of this. Must be confirmed, must have the required qualification, and must have the required experience and career progression for the officer to be considered for transfer of service by the agency. By the commission. So again, provided the contemplated transfer will have no issue. That is, we will not jeopardize promotion prospects for officers that are already within the service where that person is seeking transfer to. Like for instance, an officer that is seeking transfer from, say, TESCOM to the mainstream civil service, within that cadre where that officer is seeking transfer, it must not jeopardize the promotion prospect of officers that are already within that agency, because you know there will have been vacancy that will have been considered. Let's say, for instance, there had been 20 vacancies that was to be considered for that particular year. The coming of that officer or the transfer of that officer must not jeopardize the promotion of those 20 that already imposed. Those body imposed must not be jeopardized. You cannot now drop one and say because somebody is seeking transfer, you now have to drop one so that that person can be promoted. It must not jeopardize the promotion prospects of already serving officer. Then another condition here, where the ministry is satisfied that there are vacancies, like I mentioned earlier, not only in the relevant cadre, but also in the application, in the applicant discipline and specialties, where that officer is going to, like an engineer that is seeking transfer from, let's say, Lagos State Civil Service Commission or from the mainstream to another agency of government. It must satisfy, you have to be satisfied that there are vacancies, there must be vacancies provision that would have been envisaged and must have been provided for the transfer to be completed. So we have another one of the condition and procedure is that if he has served in a current grade for the stipulated number of, what we are saying here is that the officer must have served for the specific minimum number of years prescribed for promotion to an advertised position, PSR 020502 3D. Unlike secondment, transfer is usually at the instance of the applicants. Basically, there is no, what this is saying is that there is no state policy regarding this. It is purely the officer prerogative, either to seek for transfer or whatever. It has to be from the officer that is willing. He must have considered all these conditions for him or her to be able to seek transfer. First and foremost, he must have been confirmed. One. Then the second one is that the contemplated transfer must not jeopardize the promotion prospects of those that are already in service. Then there must be a provision, and the officer must have served the stipulated number of years prescribed for promotion from that particular cadre. Next slide, please. So what are the requirements for transfer of service? This is actually speaking to the document that needs to be supplied while seeking transfer of service. Like I said, there must be approval from the commission where that person is domiciled to where the officer is seeking transfer. Like I said, another condition is that there must be willingness to release and willingness to absorb. So part of the document they are required to be submitted as listed. It must have endorsed letter of application. That is the officer's application from his parent ministry to the commission where the person is seeking transfer to where he is to be absorbed. Then the letter of appointment of the officer. The officer's letter of confirmation, like I mentioned earlier, the officer has to, is a compulsory condition. The officer needs to be confirmed before he can seek transfer of service. Another one is the last promotion letter, so that we can know the grade level where the officer is, and to fulfill part of the last condition that I mentioned earlier, that the officer must have served the required number of years on that grade level before he can seek promotion, before he can seek transfer. Then the officer's last pay slip, then the assumption of duty certificate, and certified true copy of the officer's record of service. These are the documents that is expected for an officer to be attached to the application for transfer. Then what are the benefits of transfer of service? Like we have capacity building and skill development. You know, if an officer is seeking transfer, let's say interagency transfer, an officer that is seeking transfer from the Lagos State Civil Service to the Federal Civil Service, it is expected that there must be capacity building and skill development from where he is going. Another benefit is that it improves intergovernment collaboration between the two agencies that are willing to release and they are willing to absorb the officer. So another condition here is career growth and motivation. Some officers might feel motivated where they are, and they feel, okay, I want to seek transfer to a federal agency, maybe Nigeria Port Authority, and he feels there he can seek more motivation and he can seek career growth. He feels he can be more exposed to the rudiment of the discipline. So it is our discipline. So benefit of transfer again is career growth and motivation. Then we have efficiency and productivity. Then we have family bond. We've seen in various cases where maybe the husband or the wife of an officer, say for example, he has been transferred to Abuja. The officer might say, okay, because my husband is in Abuja, I want to seek permanent transfer of service. At any rate, if you are seeking transfer of service, like I mentioned earlier, there must be that willingness to release and willingness to absorb. It is not automatic. That this condition or those conditions must be met. Next slide, light on. So now the third aspect of mobility in the state public service. We've mentioned secondment, we've mentioned transfer. The third one here is advancement. So advancement here, according to the Public Service Rule 020501D, advancement is the upward movement of an officer within a given cadre. Keyword here, within a given cadre. He cannot seek advancement as an admin officer to the position of an engineer. It is not within the same cadre. Advancement, career advancement, is an upward movement within the same cadre. This could be as a result of additional qualification or cognate experience in accordance with the scheme of service. That is a condition, in accordance with the scheme of service for such cadre. It could be statutory, subject to passing, or subject to passing required examination. Basically, there are three types. This is actually explaining the three types of advancement in state public service. It could be as a result of the person acquiring required qualification, or statutorily the person is due for advancement, or it could be a special advancement. We will get the step of what we are to discuss. Basically, like I said, advancement is the upward movement of an officer within a given cadre. Keyword. This could be as a result of additional qualification or cognate experience in accordance with the scheme of service for such cadre. Next slide, please. So now we go to the type of advancement. We have statutory advancement, we have statutory in accordance with qualification, then we have special, accelerated, or on recognition. Let's start with statutory. Statutory is a situation or a type of advancement where an officer is advanced from a grade level statutorily because that person has been confirmed and has spent the number of years required on that grade level for that person to be advanced to the next grade level. For example, an admin officer that was employed on salary grade level 8, at the anniversary, at the second anniversary, it is assumed and it is expected that the officer must have sat for the compulsory confirmation exam and must have passed. So after passing, at the anniversary of the second year, the officer is advanced to grade level 9. 2 years, after 2 years, it is statutory. After 2 years, and fulfilling the condition of confirmation, the officer is advanced to the next grade level, which is grade level 9. Then by qualification, there is a circular to this effect for the statutory advancement and for the one based on qualification. But I tried to lay my hands on the circular, but I couldn't. Once I'm able to get the circular, I will post on this platform so that we can all go through it and be more acquainted with the condition. So for qualification, we have, for instance, engineers. Engineers are required to have current, and once they have that current, they are advanced to level 8. I mean level 10. It is by qualification. That's why I said qualification, types of advancement by qualification. The officer must have obtained the required qualification for advancement. Like I said, for an example, an engineer or an accountant. An accountant is expected to have qualified for ICANN or ANAN. Once you are able to get those qualifications, either ANAN or ICANN for an officer, for an officer in the accounting cadre, the officer will be advanced to grade level 10. But if the officer does not have the qualification, either as an engineer or any other cadre that is required, that you need to have the complete qualification for advancement, the officer will terminate at level 14. The officer cannot move beyond level 14 until when the officer acquire the cognate qualification, either ANAN or ICANN or current, as the case may be, depending on the cadre the officer belongs to. So, but for another condition here is that qualification must be obtained before the officer gets to grade level 10. If the officer gets to grade level 10, before he gets those qualifications, either a current or ANAN or ICANN, the officer cannot get advancement. That is the provision of the extant rule. The qualification must have been gotten before the officer attained grade level 10. If the officer is on grade level 8, when he gets the qualification, the officer is advanced to grade level 10. If the officer is on grade level 9, the officer is advanced to grade level 10. If the officer is on grade level 10, the officer cannot seek advancement again. The only benefit here is that the officer will be able to advance beyond grade level 14. Unlike when the officer hasn't got that qualification, the officer stagnates at level 14 until he or she is able to get the required qualification. Then we have special or accelerated, or what we call recognition. There's what is called Idea Day, which is anchored by OTCI. We have some officer, based on the idea that they've come up with, they are giving special advancement based on that recognition of the idea that they brought to bear. Still, we have, it could be as a result of maybe special skills or special services that the officer has contributed to the service, and the officer is deemed to have performed excellently well, outstandingly, for the officer to be able to qualify for special advancement or accelerated or based on recognition. And that is at the instance of the government. For example, we've seen instances where the state executive, maybe when ending his tenure, those officers that have served with him or her could be given special advancement based on their outstanding performance or their contribution to the success of that administration. We've seen it, and that is where it is referred to as special or accelerated or based on recognition. So basically, we have three types of advancement. Statutorily, I think I've explained that based on the number of years the officer has spent and must have been
Yeah, I think that's a network glitch from Mr. Abari. Let's just hold on for him to come back on the call. Mr. Abari. Okay. Okay, so while we're waiting for him to, can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. While we're waiting for Mr. Abari to come back, please kindly drop your questions on the chat box so that we can attend to it. Okay, I think he's back now. Hello, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you now, sir.
Okay. So we have general condition and procedure. I said the officer must have passed the combined confirmation examination, possesses the required academic or professional qualification, like the instance that I cited, maybe for Koren or for Ireland or for ICANN. The officer must have demonstrated exceptional merits, innovation, outstanding service, or special advancement or special achievement. This falls under the special or accelerated or recognition type of advancement. That is where the officer has demonstrated exceptional quality or has demonstrated merit in certain area that he or she might have excelled, and due to that, the state government or the authority have decided to reward the officer by special advancement to the grade, the required grade level. So next slide, please. So in conclusion, so it says secondment or transfer of service remain a vital instrument in the public service human resource strategy. When well structured, it serves not only the development need of the individual officer, but also strengthening institutional capacity and foster a culture of collaboration across the public sector. Adherence to the public service rule I quoted earlier, 02, 05, 01, and 02, 05, 02, are essential in the integrity and effectiveness of secondment process as well as transfer. So basically, what we are saying here is that secondment is of temporary in nature, where transfer is more of a permanent release of an officer. And we've looked at the various conditions and the processes that needs to be followed before this can take place. Basically, for transfer, like I mentioned earlier, there must be the willingness. That is basic and fundamental requirement for transfer of service. There must be willingness to release and willingness to absorb. For secondment, we've said that in the first instance, if it is at the thereafter, the officer can seek either to remain in the MDA where the officer is seconded by seeking extension for not more than 1 year, or the officer can seek permanent transfer. For advancement, we said the movement of an officer within a grade level, basically on three basic conditions, either statutorily or having passed the required examination, or could be special or accelerated promotion, or could be based on recognition. Thank you very much. I think I've been able to go through the 17 slides, so we can now go to questions and answers. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you for the time that you took to actually prepare this slide. This slide is just 17, but I can tell you it's an intensive research that you have done here. I know because I've seen a lot of people just come here, give us stuffs, and this is actually very, very interesting. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have a couple of questions on the chat box already. I'll just go through the question. But while we're going through that question, I see a lot of can we get the slides and all that? Please kindly go to the YouTube. You can always go back to rewatch the session on YouTube. YouTube is live. Fantastic. We have over 65 people live on YouTube as we speak, and we have over 200 people on this Zoom call. Isn't that interesting? Please drop your emojis. Drop your emojis. Let Mr. Barry know that you really appreciate this. Honestly, it's not a small thing to actually come here and give us this on a platter of gold. Fantastic presentation, sir. Thank you very much.
Mr.
Okay,
Barry,
so
the emojis are coming. Please accept it.
okay,
Accept
yeah,
it.
on the
Please
chat,
accept
yeah.
it
Oh my
before
goodness,
I
I
make
Thank
my
you
comment.
so much. Thank you,
question.
everyone. Thank you so much. We
Thank
are
you.
here to share and to help one another. It's a pleasure, and I thank Dr. Okudero. In fact, at times I jealous Dr. Okudero, because by now I'm supposed to have been called a doctor as well. If I had done the way he has done.
It's not
So
late.
thank you so much,
It's
Dr.
not late.
Okudero. I actually appreciate what you are doing, and it is in the good interest of the service in general. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. On that note, we want to say thank you. We'll come together as one voice to appreciate Mr. Abari. But let me quickly just make these observations. Please, and please, when we are signing in, we should sign in with our real names and not with our phone names. Please, let's be professional at every point in time where we show up professionally. And also, let's fill the attendance sheet. Let's fill it. Is very, very, very important. And lastly, please go back to the YouTube channel, subscribe, make comments, likes, and do all sorts that is needful for us on the YouTube channel. Watch and watch and watch again. On this note, we want to say thank you so much, Mr. Abari, for this insightful session. All of us, we are coming together now with one voice to say, because Mr. Abari, to sing for Mr. Abari that he is a jolly good fellow. Can we all come together to do that? 1, 2, go.